Turn with me to 2 Corinthians chapter 11. 2 Corinthians chapter 11. And I'm going to read from verses 16 and go to 33. 2 Corinthians chapter 11, 16 to 33. 2 കൊരിന്ത്യർ 11 அதிகாரம் 16 வருஷத்திலிருந்து 33 வரை. 2 கொரிந்தியர் 11 16 33. This morning I want to talk about trials are credible testimonies. Trials are credible testimonies. And in this passage, if you look at it, Paul's talking about all the situations that he's been in, and the hard times and the tough times and all these times. And he's basically giving you a little background about the pain he's going through. So let's look at it. It says, "Again I say, don't think that I am a fool to talk like this. But even if you do listen to me as you would to a foolish person, while I also boast a little bit. Such boasting is not from the Lord, but I am acting like a fool. And since others boast about their human achievements, I will too. After all, you think you are so wise, but you enjoy putting up with fools. You put up with it when someone enslaves you, takes everything you have, takes advantage of you, takes control of everything, and slaps you in the face. I'm ashamed to say that we've been too weak to do that. But whatever they dare to boast about, I'm talking like a fool again. I dare to boast about it too. Are they Hebrews? So am I. Are they Israelites? So am I. Are they descendants of Abraham? So am I. Are they servants of Christ? I know I sound like a madman. But I have served him far more. I have worked harder, been put in prison more often, been whipped times without number, and faced death again and again. 5 different times the Jewish leaders gave me 39 lashes. 3 times I was beaten with rods. Once I was stoned. 3 times I was shipwrecked. Once I spent a whole night and a day adrift at sea. I have traveled on my long journeys. I have faced danger from rivers and from robbers. I have faced danger from my own people, the Jews, as well as from the Gentiles. I have faced danger in the cities, in the deserts, and on the seas. And I have faced danger from men who claim to be believers but are not. I have worked hard and long, enduring many sleepless nights. I have been hungry and thirsty and have often gone without food. I have shivered in the cold without enough clothing to keep me warm. Then, besides all this, I have the daily burden of my concern for all churches. Who is weak without my feeling that weakness? Who is led astray and I do not burn with anger? If I must boast, I would rather boast about the things that show how weak I am. God the Father of our Lord Jesus, who is worthy of eternal praise, knows I am not lying. When I was in Damascus, the governor under King Artaxerxes kept guards at the city gates to catch me. I had to be lowered in a basket through a window in the city wall to escape from him. Well, sometimes we don't even know what trials are, and we say we are going through trials. Sometimes we don't even know what pain is, and we say we are painful. Look at what Paul's described here. He's kind of given you a small summary of everything that he's gone through. And I like that verse 28. In 28 it says, "Then, besides all this, I have the daily burden of my concern for all the churches." Listen, people. If you think you have problems, take a walk down your road and look at others. If you think you have problems and pain, just take a walk down the road and look at a few other people. You will forget all your pain. You won't even have any pain. And so Paul's saying, again I say, don't think that I'm a fool to talk like this, but even if you do, listen to me. Many times I've looked at people and said, I might sound like a fool to you. I might sound like a stupid idiot to you. I might not make any sense to you. But trust me, listen to me when I tell you things. I don't know how many times I've told that to people. You don't understand what I'm saying. I understand what I'm saying. Trust me, listen to me, just do what I'm saying. And I don't know how many times that when I said that to people, they didn't do what I said and they're struggling in life. They're regretting. You see, sometimes we don't know what we need. We don't even know what is good. We don't even know what is important. But someone comes by and says, do this, get that, don't do this, go there, and we are dreaming. And Paul says, hey, I might seem like a fool when I talk like this. I'm a fool to talk like this. But even if you do, listen to me. If you think I'm a fool, you just listen to me. As you would to a foolish person. While I also boast a little bit. Paul's saying, hey, I have the credibility, I have the permission to boast a little bit. Everybody is boasting. Even I have a little credibility to boast. And I want to boast a little bit. Such boasting is not from the Lord. He's making it very clear here. He's saying, hey, I'm not boasting in the Lord. I'm boasting about myself. I'm boasting about the things that I went through. I'm boasting about the things that concern me. I'm boasting about the things that I've gone through and experienced. I'm not boasting in the Lord. This is what I have gone through. And this is not from the Lord. But I'm acting like a fool. To you, I'm acting like a fool. But he says, even though I'm acting like a fool, trust me. Listen to me. Open your eyes and your ears. And since others boast about their human achievements, I will too. There are two kinds of people that I've seen who boast. Everybody boasts. Everybody boasts. We all boast. But there's two categories of people who boast. The one category boasts about doing nothing. But they'll boast. There's another category who boasts about what they do. Okay? There's one category who boasts, they don't do anything but they boast. The other category boasts about their achievements. Now, which you think has the credibility to boast? If you do something, you say something. If you don't do something, zip it. Right? If you do something, say something. You have the permission to say something. Right? Let's say you help the poor. Let's say you have the habit of helping the poor. You can talk about it. You can boast and brag about it. You have the right to boast and brag about it. Let's say you only talk about the poor. Right? You just talk about the poor. Can you open your mouth and talk about your help to the poor? You just only talk about the poor. You don't help the poor. Interestingly, this village is very interesting. In this village that we are in, very interesting village. Everybody talks big, but nobody can do big. Even if somebody is in danger, they'll all crowd around and they look. Hey, what happened? And the person will be struggling. Take me to hospital, take me to hospital. Why you walked and came on the road like that? The person is bleeding. Recently happened, the person is bleeding on the main road there. A known person. She's bleeding on the bike, came at the back and crashed her. Both fell. That fellow fell into the nala, she fell on the road. He got out of the nala, took the bike and ran away. And she's on the road bleeding, and all these wonderful neighbors, this whole road, that road, crowded around her and looking at her. Why you walked and came like that? Then what, she'll fly and come or what? And to add to the misery, nobody is helping. Nobody is even lifting her or taking away the blood or trying to call. Nobody. Everybody is commenting. Hey, do like this, man. Do like this. Do like. And to add to the misery, after we go and take her to the hospital and come back, one person is telling me, why, brother, you took her to hospital? She was drunken when she was walking on the road. Can you believe the audacity? First of all, they didn't raise a finger, didn't have a heart, didn't have the mind, didn't have the love, didn't have the humanity to even lift the person and take her to the side. And they're asking questions to me why I helped her. This is the kind of village we live in and the world we live in. You see, Paul's saying, hey, everybody is boasting, but let me also boast. I did some stuff. I have the permission to boast. I don't know about those people or what they did. He says, I also can boast. I will too. After all, you think you are so wise, but you enjoy putting up with fools. He's saying, all you people think you're so wise. You think you're so smart. You think you're so spiritual. But you end up putting up with fools. And he's explaining these fools. You end up with fools. You put up with it when someone enslaves you. People enslave us. They control us. They make fun of us, they take advantage of us, they rob us, they slap us, they ridicule us, they condemn us, they criticize us, and we love those people. He's saying, you love all these people who do all these bad things to you. They enslave you, they take advantage of you, everything that you have, they slap you in the face. And he says in verse 21, I am ashamed to say that we've been too weak to do this. Paul's saying, I am so weak, I don't have the capacity to do what these people are doing to you because I'm so weak. I can't do that. He says, I'm ashamed to say that we've been too weak to do that. But whatever they dare to boast about, I'm talking like a fool again. I dare to boast about it too. He says, then he goes on to say, are they Hebrews? Are they Israelites? Are they Abraham's children? He says, so am I. I'm also that. Are they servants of Christ? I know I sound like a madman, he says, but I have served him far more. He starts off by saying, I have served him, I have served the Lord far more than all of these people. You know, it's sad sometimes when I hear people talking about Mother Teresa. They talk so badly about her, so cruel, so shameful. They talk so cruel about her. How dare does someone talk cruel about a lady who's first of all not an Indian? Remember, she's not even an Indian. She comes to this country 30, 40 years, suffers, sacrifices, serves Indians, the most downtrodden Indians, and some Indian says bad things about her. How cruel can that be? How cruel. This is the state of affairs that we are in. This is a state of affairs that humanity is in right now. How dare we talk about somebody not even doing 2% of what that person has done? How dare? Where do we get the guts and the audacity from? It says, I dare to boast. I'm also a Hebrew, but I have served him far more. I have worked harder, been put in prison more often, been whipped times without number, and faced death again and again. 5 different times the Jewish leaders gave me 39 lashes. You know what is 39 lashes? Forget 39. You know what is 1 lash? We're not talking about the teacher in the school with a scale and saying, hey, come here. We're not talking about that. A lash is with a whip. A whip. It's a long whip. And 1 lash, they say, will peel out your skin. If they just, the skin will come out. And he says 39. 39 into 5 times. A man will die 39 lashes. You'll be dead, half dead. He says 5 times, 39 lashes these guys gave me. 3 times I was beaten with rods, not with stick, rods. Once I was stoned. 3 times I was shipwrecked. Once I spent a whole night and a day adrift at sea. I have traveled on long journeys. I have faced danger from rivers to robbers. I have faced danger from my own people, the Jews, as well as from the Gentiles. I have faced danger in the cities, in the deserts, and the seas. I have faced danger from men who claim to be believers. Saying, part of the danger is all these Christian people who came and said they love God. I face danger from those fellows. But they're not. I have worked hard and long, enduring many sleepless nights. I have been hungry and thirsty and have often gone without food. One day we don't eat lunch, we'll be murmuring in the night. Ayo, hungry, ayo. I have shivered in the cold without enough clothing to keep me warm. And here comes the beauty. Here comes the beauty. The 28th verse is the beauty. Then, besides all this, I have the daily burden of my concern for all the churches. Now tell me something. A very important question for us to ask. Paul had this burden for all the churches. Were all these churches his churches? No, they were not his churches. But he had the burden for all these churches, right? It's not his churches. He didn't own them. But he loved them, had the burden for them. The second question, did any of these churches give him salary? No. Did any of the churches support him? No. But they all spoke about him. They all judged him. They all criticized him. And he's loving them. He's having burden and loving them. They're criticizing him. Trials are credible testimonies. The point that I want to make this morning is something very simple and clear. Very simple and clear. When someone has trials in their life and hardship in their life and gone through a lot in their life, that's a great testimony of those people. Respect those people. Respect those people. When someone is going through hard times and gone through hard times and difficult moments, those are credible testimonies. Those trials are very credible, respectful testimonials. That's enough for you to respect and honor and be with those people. You don't need to hear their preaching and their message. You don't need their prayers. You don't need anything. If you know about their trials, those trials are their testimonies, you need to respect those people. They don't need to show you anything more. Nothing more they need to show you. Paul didn't need to go anywhere to preach or do anything because what he's gone through is enough testimony to the people. Because all those people put together didn't even go through half of what Paul has gone through. When someone goes through hard times, don't criticize them, don't ask questions, don't go and suggest, and don't go and give advice and counsel. That's not what they want. You know, as Indians, we have a very funny habit, or maybe a bad habit. When someone meets at an accident and they're in the hospital, most of the time, if not all, most of the time when we go to the hospital, what should we be doing to those people when we go to the hospital to meet people who have gone through a hard time? First of all, take some flowers, take some fruits, take something nice to go and give it to them, right? And second of all, just go and be with them and make them feel good. Say words of goodness and mercy. And you know what we do when we go to the hospital? What do? We go like, we walk in like detectives. Hi. Gosh, I told you not to go on that road, no? As soon as you walk, the fellow will be like, one leg got broken, full, he'll be dazed. And you're lecturing to him as soon as you walk into the place. I told you that road is a bad road, no? Why you took that bike and went? You see, they don't need your lecture and your advice. They've already learned it. They've learned it. They're in a place right now, they've learned everything. You don't need to highlight what they've already... In fact, they can lecture to you. They've got enough experience on the bed there. They can lecture to you so that you will not get in the bed. You don't lecture to them. You just go there and bless them. Appreciate them, encourage them, motivate them, ask them, can I do something for you? Is there something that I can help you with? They don't need your lecture. You see, Paul's gone through trials. He doesn't need anybody's lecture. He needs people's cooperation and support and gratitude. And for that, you need the right attitude. But we as Christians, sometimes what we do is, we don't respect people who go through trials. We don't respect them. We lecture to them and we tell them how better they can become. No. We should be lecturing to ourselves and asking ourselves, how can we learn from them? How can we learn from these people? And he says, I've got a burden for and a concern for all these churches. Who is weak without my feeling that weakness? Who is led astray and I don't burn with anger? If I must boast, I would rather boast about the things that show how weak I am. Have we ever tried to boast about our weakness rather than our strength? Have we ever tried to boast about our weakness rather than our strength? We always have the temptation to boast always about our strength and about our smartness. Have you ever tried boasting about your weakness? Have you ever? Why can't you try it? See how it feels. Go and tell someone how weak and vulnerable you are and just find out whether they still love you. Just go and tell someone, you know what, I'm a very selfish person and I've also been very selfish with you. You just didn't know that. Go try telling that to someone and see whether they love you for the next many weeks. Try it. And if they still love you, they're real friends and you're a real person. But we like to cover up everything. We like to put the masala. We like to put all the, makeup and portray the best of ourselves. Who wants your best? Your best is always seen from everybody. They want to see your worst. When I counsel people who are going to get married, when I counsel young people when they're going to get married, the first counsel I give them is, go and show your partner your worst side. Show your worst side to the person you're going to marry and see whether they still want to marry you. Tell them all your weaknesses. Tell them all your struggles. Tell them all the pain you have. Tell them all the horrible things you've been part of and find out if they still want to marry you. That's the person you should get married to. But what we do is when we're going to get married, all the best we'll give. We'll tell them what salary we're getting, which job we're having. We'll put on our best clothes, put full scent, best hairstyle, go to makeup, beauty parlor. If you want to marry someone, as soon as you get up in the morning, take a photograph and send it to them. And see if they still want to marry you. Don't go have a bath and put makeup and send your photographs to anybody. You want to marry someone, if they really love you, as soon as you get up in the morning, you'll take a selfie, send it to them. And say, hi, darling, here am I. And see if they really want to marry you with that face and that hairstyle. Right? Boast about your weakness. You'll get real friends. Boast about your weakness. You'll get real friends. And he says, I want to boast. If I want to boast, I'll boast about my weakness and how weak I am. God the Father of our Lord Jesus, who is worthy of eternal praise, knows I am not lying. When I was in Damascus, the governor and the king under Aretas kept guards in the city to catch me. I had to be lowered in a basket through the window of a city wall to escape. Paul is always, in the scripture says, I rather boast about my weakness than my strength. And the truth of the matter is Paul had a lot of strength. He had a lot of accomplishments. He did great things. He could have boasted about those great things that he did. If you look at Paul's great achievements and his weakness, the great things were much more than the weakness. So normally people, what they'll do is they'll boast about what they have most. Right? Paul's saying, I want to boast about what I have least. Even though my great achievements are here, I don't want to boast about it. I'll rather boast about all these weaknesses, and I want to know whether you still love me. You still love me, my weakness? Then that's fine. I like friends who love me in my weakness. A lot of pastors don't like me. I don't have many pastor friends, even though I'm a pastor. And that's because I'm too upfront to most of them. And the funny part is, they know what I'm saying is right, but they just don't want to accept it. That's the funny part. They know everything is right. They just don't want to accept it. That's their problem. If we don't want to accept something, that's our problem. That's not anybody else's problem. But the truth is the truth. You have to accept it. Recently, I was talking to a pastor and it was a nice conversation. So some topic came up and I asked him, so Pastor, let me ask you a question. He said, yeah, go ahead. I said, how many people in your church drink, smoke, and take drugs and say bad words and do bad things? He was looking at me like as if he didn't know what I was asking. I said, how many people? He said, in front of me, they don't do all that. I said, yeah, I know that in front of you, they don't do that. I'm asking at the back of you, how many of them do it? And then his wife said, all of them do it. He's not saying, his wife said, all of them do it. I said, okay. I said, let me ask you a question. I said, in my church, I allow people to do it in front of me. He's looking at me, what? I said, in my church, I allow people to do all the nonsense, bad things in front of me. I don't allow them to do it at the back of me. What was you saying? I said, let me explain the concept. If somebody does something bad in front of you, they're doing it only to you. Listen to me. When someone does something bad in front of you, they're doing it to you. So you have the option of praying for them, counseling them, correcting them, loving them, and encouraging them. Correct? Good. Now those same people, if you don't allow them to do it in front of you, they're going to go and do it at the back of you. Now at the back of you, there are many people listening to that. So when many people listen to that, it's shame on you because they go to your church. So they're going to say, oh, look at that guy, he goes to that guy's church. So everybody's listening to the bad things and looking at the bad things except you. So you get the bad name and the shame. But if you see the bad things, nobody else sees it, you have the opportunity to reach out to those people and love them and correct them and pray for them. He's looking at me, doesn't know what to say. Again, his wife is jumping, oh, you, Pastor, what you're saying is exactly happening in our church. And he's looking at his wife like this. And she's looking at me. And then he's saying, correct, Pastor, I agree, what you're saying is absolutely right. And then I'm asking him, so why can't you allow people to do bad things in front of you? He's not able to answer me. Because we are so used to boasting about our strength. We don't want to boast about our weakness. And then I told him, last Sunday in our church, one girl came and gave testimony. Hey, what she said? She said for last 10, 20 days, she's drinking every day. She's saying she stood in front of the church and told that. I said, yeah, she stood in front of the church only and told that. Why you're allowing people to give that type of testimony? I said, that is only real testimony. She said, I'm drinking every day and I don't know what to do. I was such a wreck. After that, God gave me promotion in the office. I said, isn't that a testimony? So she's trying to say she was such a horrible person and God loved her. That's a testimony. That's a real testimony. Allow people to be who they are in front of you. That is boasting in your weakness. Let me close with a story that happened many years back when we were in Chennai. We had a lovely church going there, and we grew the church from 10 people to 400 people. In 2 years, the church grew from 10 people to 400 people. And every Sunday in our church, at least 20, 30 people will come forward for prayer. After the church, we'll say, hey, anybody wants prayer? At least 20, 30 people will be there, and almost 1 hour we'll be just praying for people. There was this one new guy who came to church one day. And he came, he saw it, and then, so I was in charge of meeting all the new people, visiting all the new people, and connecting with everybody. So I knew everybody in the church. Even the main pastor didn't know all those people. I knew all of them because I'll connect with them faster and quicker. So this guy came to me and said, hey, Godfrey, I just have one small doubt. I liked the service today. It was awesome. It was just one big doubt I had. I didn't know you have so many sinners in your church. I said, I don't understand. What do you mean? He says, after the service was over, no? You said, come for prayer. 30 people came in front. No, I didn't know so many sinners were there in the church. I did not know whether to cry or laugh or run out of the church or jump or kneel down. I didn't know what to do. And so I told him, you saw only 20% of our sinners. The remaining 80% are sitting down there. Thank God you didn't see 100%. You would have committed suicide today. You saw only 20%, remaining 80%, next week they'll come. Every Sunday we come batch by batch. You see people's perception of church, they think church is a very nice place. Do you know something? Church is not a nice place. It's a messy place. Church is not a nice place. It's a messy place that gets nice with Jesus' presence. The definition of church is hospital. My definition of church is hospital. When you go to the hospital, you don't find 5-star hotel things happening there. As soon as you walk into the hospital, first thing you'll get is a bad smell. Medicine, wounds, infection. It's just horrible. You'll feel like puking. And then you see bloody things, people with blood and wounds and people dying. You'll see dead bodies. That's the hospital. But amidst all that, you have doctors who save people's lives and heal people. Right? Right? The church is like that. You enter the church, you'll get a smell. Don't find out who's smelling. Everybody's smelling. You'll see bloody things. You'll see all wounds everywhere. You'll see some mental people. You'll see some angry people. You'll see some cuckoo people. You'll see some selfish people. You'll see some violent people. You'll see some very holy people. You'll see some confused people. You'll see some judgmental people. You'll see all these type of people like a zoo. But you know what's happening? Jesus is working on all these people. That's all is the matter. Even the pastor cannot do anything. Pastor is also a mental guy. He's part of the mental group. Jesus is working on him also. Actually working on him more than working on the people. Because his mental capacity is confusing the others. You see, the chief doctor is Jesus. And he has some nurses and assistants. Sometimes those nurses and assistants are all cuckoo people also. They'll do all wrong things. He'll say, give this medicine, they'll give some wrong medicine. Have you seen in the hospital, doctor will come and say, do something, the nurse will do something else. That fellow will become worse. So when Jesus comes and heals the church, he'll tell the pastor, give that medicine and go. Pastor will give some other medicine. That fellow will become worse. Then Jesus has to come back and deal with the pastor, the nurse. Mental fellow, I told you this medicine, why you gave that medicine, man? Then he'll say, oh, sorry, sir. But the problem is, Jesus cannot kick out the pastor because he needs the pastor. Can a doctor tell, I'm firing all the nurses? You did all wrong, all of you fired. The patients will die. They need 24/7, the nurses have to be there. Even though they make mistake, the doctor has to put up with the mistake. See, pastors are like nurses. They do all the stupid things. God has to put up with them because he needs them. In that whole process, he puts up and tolerates all their nonsense. But you see, he still has a heart to heal people. He's the chief doctor, the chief physician. He's the boss. He's in work. Pastor cannot do anything. We cannot do anything. God's doing something. Hold on till you get your miracle. Don't run away. Don't leave the church. Don't say, I'm feeling nice, I'll go back home. No, stay there. Let people observe you. They will let you know when you can go back home. So Paul says, I boast about my weakness, men. Do you still love me? You still love me? Thank you. You're a good friend of mine. Show your worst part to people and see if they can show you their best part. Show your worst part to people and see if they can show you their best part. And when they show you their best part, those are the friends that you want in life. They will be with you till the end. But if someone just likes you for all your nice fancy things and is very scared about your not so fancy things, you don't want to be those people. They're dangerous people to be with. They're very dangerous people to be with. You'll be very, very disappointed with them very soon. And Paul says, I have a little to boast, and the little that I want to boast about is in my weakness, not in anything else. Because God is my strength. God knows all that I'm saying is true and not false. Let's all stand.